Hey there, Stampers. This is Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Sherwood Park, Alberta, Canada, and I am excited to be here to share with you a project created using the Love You to Pieces bundle. Now, before we go into the project itself, I wanted to share the upcoming class in the mail that I have with you, or the current class in the mail that I have with you. It features this stamp set as well. So the class in the mail includes the Love You to Pieces stamp set, the coordinating puzzle pieces framelits, and a spool of basic black baker's twine, and all of the supplies that you need to create 7 cards. That includes the step-by-step instructions and measurements. And you'll get the supplies to create 2 of each of these 3 cards, and then 1 of this kind of fun fold card. Now you'll see that these cards are a little bit more on the masculine side. We chose to do that just because cards for men, the men in our life, are sometimes a little bit more difficult to create. So although the class focuses on more masculine colors, all of these projects can be recreated in a number of color combinations so that you can use them for the little ones in your life or even the women in your life, okay? So the details for this, there are 3 different options. Option 1 includes the Love You to Pieces bundle, the solid black baker's twine, all the supplies to create the 7 cards, step-by-step instructions including measurements for each of the cards, and the cost is $67. Anyone in Canada can participate. Doesn't matter where you live in Canada, you can participate. If you do require shipping, there is an extra cost. But we can work that out afterwards, and you can substitute. So if perhaps you already own this bundle, you can choose something of equal or lesser value that we can substitute in for you. Just contact me at the time of registration and we can work out the details for that. So that is option 1. Option 2 is the tutorial only. The cost for that is $20. Oh, I should say, in option 1, you actually get the tutorial and your class kit for free. So you are basically just paying for the product, okay? So option 2 is the tutorial only. The cost is $20, and anyone worldwide can participate in that option. And option 3 is for my Treasure Stamper team members. So anyone who is part of my team, you can purchase this tutorial. You get the tutorial and the pieces to create the cards for $15. Okay, and you provide your own stamps and ink. The only additional inks that you need are basic gray and crushed curry inks. Okay, so very minimal supplies are needed at home. As long as you have the stamp set and the framelets, a big shot, and those 2 colors of ink, you are good to go. All right, so let's go ahead and start today's project. So this is what we're going to make here, and this again is a little bit of a different fold, so I'm going to show you how to create that. So let's go ahead. First of all, let me tell you what pieces we need in case you want to create it along with me. So we are going to use Coastal Cabana cardstock. It measures 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and it's scored at 5 1/2 inches and 6 3/4. Actually, I guess it goes this way: 5 1/2 inches and 6 3/4. And then for the inside, you have a piece that measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then we've got our square pieces. So we have another piece of Whisper White that measures 3 5/8 by 3 5/8, which is going to be matted on a piece of Granny Apple Green, and that measures 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. We've got a strip of DSP, and this DSP is the How Sweet It Is DSP. So it's the Coastal Cabana polka dot one, and it measures 1 inch by 4 1/4. And then we need a piece for stamping. So this piece measures 2 3/4 by 3 1/2, but you can use any scrap that you have that's big enough. And then the last thing that you'll need is you'll need some coordinating ribbon, and I am using the Coastal Cabana Granny Apple Green satin ribbon. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. First of all, we are gonna bring in the big shot, and we're gonna take our square white piece, and we are going to use the Big Shot embossing mats, because if you look at this, it is embossed. So these mats allow us to Oh, here it is. They allow us to take this, which is normally a framelit, and we'll cut out these puzzle pieces, but these mats allow it to emboss. So we want, our sandwich layer is the Big Shot platform. So there's the regular one, not the magnetic one, a clear mat, and then we are going to put the cardstock on here with the cut side down, and because we want it to be centered, I'm going to use a little bit of washi tape to just hold it in place. So I've just got an old spool of washi tape. I think this actually might have been one of the very first washi tapes that Stampin' Up! Ever came out with. It's pretty old. Okay, so I'm just going to tape that on there. I'm going to flip it over upside down. So that means that the cut side is face up. And then from this Big Shot embossing mat package, I'm going to use the flimsy blue mat and then this white hard one. So that's the sandwich layer. You also get this thicker one in the kit, but we are not going to use that. So now I'm going to pull in my Big Shot and just run it through. And it goes through really easily. It doesn't feel like you're doing much of anything at all. But then when you pull out the pieces, or pull out the cardstock, you have this beautiful embossed, there we go. You've got this beautiful embossed puzzle piece, okay? All right, so let's start assembling here. We'll start with this. We will stick this onto the Granny Apple Green. And then we are going to assemble our card. So we're gonna fold along the score line, the halfway score line. Grab my bone folder here. Okay, so that's just a regular size card. And then we're gonna fold backwards for this piece here. Okay, so that's how it's going to look. It's gonna look like that when you first score it. And then we're gonna take this white piece, the largest white piece, and we're gonna stick it in the inside. And you're gonna have about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. Now at this point, actually before I explain the next part, let's put this DSP on the outside. So this is just gonna go down the spine of the card. And it looks like it's a touch too long. So I'll just line it up there and then trim off the excess here. Okay, so now at this point you have the option of putting your ribbon through here and tying your knot this way if you don't want it to show at the back. I wrapped mine around afterwards and I'm quite happy with that, so that's what I'm gonna do. So if you don't want your ribbon showing at the back, then you would wrap your ribbon around and tie your knot at this point. But if you don't mind it showing up at the back, then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna add a bit of adhesive on this spine and you're going to seal your card. And then you'll take this, decide what color you want out, and just wrap it around. And I like to keep my ribbon on the spool if I can, because I find I waste less. I don't end up cutting it too short and then have to cut another piece, or too long and then I'm wasting. I end up with a whole bunch of little scraps. That is not very tight. Let's try this again here. That's better. Okay. Grab my ribbon scissors and just trim it off. I love this two-toned or double-sided ribbon. It's so pretty. I love that it's got that splash of green showing. Okay, so now we're gonna take this piece and add it to the center. And you'll end up with an even border on all 4 sides. Just like that. Now we're gonna do some stamping. So I've got the coordinating cards, or the coordinating ink pad. So I'm gonna use Granny Apple Green for the Love You. And stamp it onto my white. And then the 2 pieces is going to be stamped in the Calypso, or sorry, the Coastal Cabana. And we're going to use that again in a minute. But now I'm going to bring in my big shot, because also in the framelets, the coordinating framelets, there is a framelit that will cut out those puzzle pieces. So we're going to bring in the big shot so we can do that. And this time we are going to use the magnetic platform. Just line that up. And feed it through. And then we'll do the same with the other piece. And feed that through. Don't you just love it when you don't have to fussy cut? You've got framelits to do all the work for you. Okay, so let's move this out of the way. Okay, so we've got our 2 puzzle pieces. Now I'm going to use a dimensional. And actually I think mini dimensionals might be better. We use a couple little mini dimensionals. There we go. On each of these pieces, just like this. And I find peeling off the backing on a dimensional, it helps, makes it a bit easier if you use your fingernail and just give it a push right in the middle of the dimensional, then the backing comes off really nicely. So I'm going to line this up where I want it, and then position this right inside, just like that. And then we're going to take the little hearts in some Coastal Cabana and just stamp it a couple times on here. There we go, and it's done. Is that not the cutest? And you could easily recreate this in different colors, and it would give it a completely different look. It's just, and it's so simple. And I love that we can take that framelit that is meant to cut and just add a little bit of texture on there. All right, so thanks so much for watching. I will have a detailed supply list in the description below. If there's anything that you would like to shop for, just visit my website at stamptreasures.com. And thanks so much for watching. Take care.